Great start.
So we have this little bonus episode for you. I don't know how long it's going to be, but it is
I don't think there's going to be a lot to say, to be honest.
This is our review of the dang it! Why do I keep doing that? This is our review.
I have convinced you that CSV is better than ESV.
I love the ESV. This is our review of the ESV Preaching Bible. Now, real quick, let me just say, Crossway sent this Bible to us to try out and review. We didn't pay for it. They didn't pay us anything. They just gave us,
which is pretty awesome,
a free Bible. So I'll start off.
We're big time now.
Yeah, right. I'll start off by saying thank you so much to Crossway. I really love Crossway. So quick story, when we were at
you love anything that has to do with solid books.
I do.
And Crossway is pretty
solid. So we were at the Desiring God National Conference. That's what I was going to call it because it's shorter than whatever they're calling it.
Conference for pastors and church leaders.
Yeah. So we were there. I ordered a copy of the ESV Old Testament journaling.
Have you gotten that yet?
No, I haven't. And so I called or I emailed Crossway. I was like, hey guys, like I ordered this back in February or in January. Like this hasn't come in yet. They're like, we don't have any record of the transaction. So I was like, well, here, let me try to find a receipt. They were about to send me one without even having a receipt, just on my word that I had bought it. So I was like, let me find a receipt. I'll send it to you just for your records. I couldn't find the receipt because I threw it out. But I had,
of course you did.
Yeah, I know. But I had the little card to order it.
Oh yeah.
That I had given to the girl, and she gave it back to me. And the lady at Crossway was like, well, that's the problem. They're supposed to keep that so that we know who to send it to and where to send it. Mm-hmm. So they are shipping it out right now, and it was just like excellent customer service. So I love Crossway. We'll preface our review of the ESV Preaching Bible by saying that. So this Bible is designed to be a preaching Bible. That's what they were going for. The whole goal, let me pull this up here. This is what they said in their, created from the ground up with input from pastors and church leaders. The ESV Preaching Bible was designed with the preacher in mind. The primary vision behind this innovative edition was to create a Bible specifically tailored for the task of preaching. So that's the goal. Did they hit the mark with this Bible?
Well, I'm assuming if they asked, some people must like this.
I don't know who they asked. Just saying.
So I'll start by saying good quality. I like the cover's really nice.
Yeah.
The pages are high quality. The print is good. It's about the right size font in my opinion. I was, I guess, expecting. I like single column Bibles. You like two columns, so
I do. Yeah.
So there's a preference difference between the two of us. But I thought one of the things I've always thought, and I think there are Bibles out there that do this, but I haven't bought one yet. I thought from a preaching standpoint, especially if you're preaching in the ESV, most likely, not 100%, but you're going to tend to be more of an exegetical preacher and you go verse by verse.
Yeah.
So it would make sense in my mind to have every verse start at
with a new line.
Yeah. This Bible doesn't do it. It's very much just it's like other single column Bibles that I've seen. And even so, if you want to do that, at least make the verses stand out where they start, a new verse each time. And it doesn't really do that. Like the bold on the verse numbers is not that bold. It doesn't stand out. So it really, to be honest, I would rather preach from my double column ESV that I normally preach out of, because it's easier to find in two columns where the verses go start and stop versus a single column where you've got a longer paragraphs to look through to find the verse starts and stops. So that'd probably be my biggest critique of it. Again, I think it's high quality, but I guess from the hype and the way that they promoted it, I was expecting something different than what's already out on the market, and it's not different to me. I have a CSB Bible that the cover's not as good, and the page quality is not as good, but
and the binding probably is not as good.
Probably not as good, but I think I could send that into Jeff to have it rebound and recovered. And I like it better because the verses stand out more.
Yeah.
It's the same exact format, and it's got little extra things in it. It's called a pastor's Bible, not a preacher's Bible. So I'd rather actually, I like that one better other than the quality. But the way that it's laid out as far as the text itself, I prefer that over this.
So I do, this is like, I preach every week. And I've put a lot of thought into what I would like in a Bible. So I preach right now. I preach out of the Bible that was given to me when I
think you have a hard time saying right now that you preach every week.
Why?
Because I preach.
Yeah, that's true. I have in the past. I've preached every week.
No, you're preaching.
I'm being eclipsed. So
we're pretty even on the calendar year. So
I've got a Bible that was given to me when I was ordained, and it's a double column ESV large print reference Bible. So it's got all the cross references and stuff like that. It's great for study. It's great for things like that. I preach just fine with it. I think it's okay. But typically what I do is I will take the text, copy it into a document, and set it up the way I want it. So I'm reading actually off of a page of paper, even though I have my Bible open. And then for cross references, I'll flip in my Bible to where I want to be. So I put a lot of thought into like, what would the ideal preaching Bible look like? And so
John's ideal preaching.
And that's probably an important caveat. Like Crossway is probably trying to do like the impossible here, because every pastor,
I'll give them props
preacher,
for even trying to do
I know.
it.
Every pastor, preacher has. With that said, I don't think that this hits the mark that they intended to for it being a preaching Bible. For the simple fact of what you said, it's not that much different than any other Bible.
Right.
You can get like one of the heirloom Bibles or something like that don't have all the cross references and stuff like that on it, but still have the verses in a paragraph format. It's not really that much different than this one. It does have a good font. It's, a good size font. The typesetting is great. Now the layout is where I have issues. That's my main issue. So a couple of things. Number one, it's got maps. I don't understand why. If this is for
some
preaching,
people like that stuff, though.
I know, but if this is
some people do
strictly,
history lessons while they preach.
If this is strictly for, what are you going to hold your Bible up on its side and like with a little laser pointer and say, all right, here is Kadesh, and that's where they were. I just don't get it.
You can set the scene for people.
But how? They can't see it.
No, you explain it.
Okay. Yeah. Use a different Bible for that. Like, it doesn't make sense. Here's what I would have liked instead. I would have liked there's on the front and the back, there's a couple of like, sort of like, I guess it's kind of like cardstock pages. They're not like the thin Bible pages. They're just like a cardstock.
Yep.
I would have liked a few more of those, because being able to take and write out some outlines to some sermons to just have sort of on the fly, and be able to preach if you need to preach sort of like on a last minute notice. I don't
give a crap about that.
Yeah, I know. So that or write down some major things that happen in the course of the life of the church whatever you want to use them for.
Sure.
But I just think that would have been a better use of that space than maps.
John doesn't like that.
I don't like the maps. Like you said, I would have preferred a verse by verse layout versus
that's probably my biggest
layout.
thing. Yeah.
The bold would have been bolder for the verse numbers.
But if they all start at the beginning of
it's not a big deal
on the left
at that
side
point.
of the page, then it wouldn't have mattered, because you would have seen it, and then your eye can just go right to where you want to go.
I like the fact that there were no cross references or anything like that. That's helpful. It says it has wide margins. I measured it out. It's 1.25 inches margin,
which is wider than
it's wider.
Than
it's
most
much
Bibles.
wider than what I would have. If it's a pretty decent sized Bible. I mean, it's pretty big. It's not a small Bible. So add another whatever 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch or something, and put in a margin that
people don't have giant pulpits to fit all their stuff on.
That's part of the problem too.
So I mean,
people need giant pulpits.
But you're probably, I mean, that might be I bet one of the things that people wanted was a big enough Bible to have all this in, but not so ridiculously huge. They didn't want a study Bible.
Yeah.
So,
which that comes it's an inch and a half. I think for like, if you set it down flat, it stands up about an inch and a half. So it's kind of like if you get one of those 3-ring binder that's 1.5 inches, that's about the size of it. As far as like the spine width. This is just a simple thing, but I would have put more ribbons.
I was just thinking that. And
there's 2 ribbons in it.
Yeah.
I would have put 4.
One of the things I like about CSB is they do different color ribbons in their Bibles too. I really have enjoyed that. My pastor's CSB Bible only has 3 ribbons, which still isn't enough. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see 5 or 6 and have different colors. And that's where it's like, we've been talking about this. Find a Bible that you like the layout in, and buy one that's a cheaper one that has maybe a bad cover or maybe not great binding. Find one that's got the good pages and the print that you like, and then go customize it, the cover and the ribbons and whatever else that you want. So it's yours.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to find the
perfect
Bible. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And the only other thing that I would say is there's no space between the paragraphs. Even if you're not going to do a verse by verse layout, if you're going to do a paragraph style layout, add a little bit of a space between the paragraphs, and that would help break it up to help your eye get to where it needs to be. Yeah. I think that would have even made it more effective as a preaching Bible.
But it would have made it a lot.
It would have made it a little bit thicker. But at this point, like, I mean, if it's going to be thicker, it's going to be thicker. Yeah. You know, if it is a preaching Bible, I mean, if this isn't like a daily carry around everywhere you go type of Bible, then it's sitting on your desk or sitting in your pulpit.
Yeah.
Unless you're a trendy hipster pastor, which walks around holding their Bible.
Or if you're Matt Chandler and use a music stand, it can't get too heavy and just when we did a youth group, we used music stands, and they were such crappy ones that you had to grab clamps to put down on the bottom so they wouldn't sink down when you just put your stuff on it. So,
with all of that said, like the leather, the goatskin leather is
really nice,
supple, and it smells amazing.
It smells like goats.
It doesn't smell like goats.
Smells like goat hide.
It smells like a baseball glove. It's a smell of summer and awesomeness.
I like that they did a little bit wider binding too. That or whatever you call the edge here. I can't remember. Like this piece. It's
the yap.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
It's a little bit wider. Yeah,
a little bit wider than most normal Bibles.
On the inside, there's a gilding around the where the leather comes to the inside. There's a gilding around there, which looks really nice. So there's stitching on the outside, but it's the same color as the leather, the black there. So it doesn't really stand out. That gilding around the gilding on the pages is really, really nice. It's really shiny and
definitely high quality.
It is, and that's the point. Like it's a high quality Bible. Nobody's arguing that. It's a great Bible. It'll last a long time. It's well built. It's got a lifetime guarantee. My only thing is with the layout, I just don't think they hit the mark with what I would consider to be a preaching Bible. There's not enough unique things about it that make it.
That's what I would say.
There's a preaching Bible.
There's nothing that stands out to me that makes it different from other things that I've seen on the market. So.
In fact, here's what I think. I think this would be better as a family Bible.
I think it's a great reading Bible.
Yeah,
because you don't have the spacing.
Yeah.
To break things up where maybe you shouldn't break them up when you're reading. It reminds me of my wife's. I got her a gospel story Bible. And kind of just ties the gospel in, and helps you see how everything. It reminds me of that because it just kind of flows.
Yeah.
Not broken up at all. So.
Yeah, and I seriously, I think this would make a great family Bible. So a young couple gets married.
The only problem is it's like it'd be a great for husband and wife. I think ESV's hard for kids.
Yeah, I agree. But what I'm saying is, like, if you do, eventually your kids are going to grow up. Like we use Carly reads the ESV to them a little bit, and I read New Living Translation. So we use 2 translations with our kids because we want them to. We've got a philosophy when it comes to reading with our kids. But
surprise,
yeah, I know, right?
I'm shocked.
I think like especially if you're going through, and there's space in here to write in different events that happen in your family, and like times when your kids come to faith or when they're baptized, and like if there's a passage that the Lord uses in a particular way, there's enough space in the margin to write a little note about how you discussed it and some of the things that your kids said or something like, you know what I mean? So like, I think there's a lot of uses for this Bible. I think it's a great Bible. I just don't think it's a
great preaching Bible.
Yeah. I've heard some issues with the MacArthur preaching Bible from a quality standpoint. Like I've heard that there's some problems with the binding and some things like that. But if they get that fixed and they switch over to the ESV, man, I think that would be as close to perfect preaching Bible as you could possibly get, from what I've seen. So I know ESV probably just didn't want to copy what MacArthur did with the NASB, but dude, MacArthur's been preaching for a long time. And, I think that if you were to do something that was more similar to that with the ESV, I think it would hit that demographic a lot better.
Yeah.
So all in all, quality Bible, great translation. Quality is fantastic. The layout is good for certain people. I mean, but I don't think it's necessarily the preaching Bible.
Yeah.
So
I think we agree. I think we kind of had the same. You have probably some more book snob critiques than I have.
Is there anything that I get into that I'm not a snob about?
No,
there's not.
Not if you if you're in it, you're a snob about it. So.
Pens, books, Bibles,
beer. The list could go on.
The list could go on. So with all of that said, like it kind of pains me to.
Me too,
because I really love Crossway,
and they were really nice to send us one. So
and seriously, like this is the Kobayashi Maru
we're not going to
making a Bible. It really is. This is a no-win scenario because some pastor is always going to find. The preacher is always going to find something where there's a lot of preference that goes into it.
It'd be interesting to hear some other guys' perspective.
So what we're going to do is on our Facebook page, we're going to post some pictures of this. And if you're a pastor, especially if you're a preaching pastor or you regularly preach, I would love to hear your thoughts on it and see if you agree with us. I mean, maybe we're off. Maybe we're just too particular about what it is that we would like.
Or maybe our preferences are a minority preference too.
Yeah, maybe our preference is a minority preference, and Crossway actually hit the mark, and we're off in the way that we are approaching it. But let us know what you think. We'll post some pictures on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pastor Discussions Podcast. I think it is. You can just find us on there and like the page and let us know. And thank you again to Crossway. Yep. Sorry we didn't like it more, but we love you. And
all right. Well, thanks for joining us for this bonus episode.
Special edition.
We'll be back next week with our regular episode.
Yep.
So join us then.